After 5 intense days exploring Istanbul, I started looking for a remote escape for just a day. Somewhere I could still get to know Turkey more. And wow, after looking at the mighty Bosphorus again, I instantly realized which part of history I wanted to uncover. Good morning from the heart of Istanbul. It's 5 o'clock in the morning and I had to wake up very early to make a trip to Gallipoli Peninsula within a day possible. I hope to explore and learn as much as possible this peninsula can offer from historical point of view and make my way back home by tonight. So let's jump into a car and start making our way south of Istanbul to the southern part of European part of Turkey called Thrace. It's gonna be a long journey, around 5 hours one way, so let's get started. Leaving Istanbul, the Bosphorus slowly gives way to the Sea of Marmara, along which we are driving now. It is the only natural passage between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and that's exactly why the Gallipoli campaign happened in the first place. This is Thrace. Just 3% of Turkish land lies in Europe, and for centuries it was a major crossroads for armies, merchants and empires, from Persians to Byzantines to Ottomans and lost travelers, like me. 2.5 hours and exactly in the middle of the journey to Gallipoli, we just passed a major port town of Tekirdağ with population of around 250,000 people just by the Marmara shore. It's very famous for its Iraqi alcoholic spirit distilling industry, meatballs, ferry services across Marmara, and it's also a major vineyard and winemaking region. So let's have some coffee and rest over here and then proceed to Gallipoli for another 2.5 hours. Coffee was perfect. Too early for raki or wine, as we still have a long way along the Marmara Sea, which now flows into the Dardanelles, one of the world's narrowest straits for international navigation. By the way, that's the longest suspension bridge in the world suddenly. The Dardanelles is the final link between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and whoever controls it controls the lifeline of trade and power in the region. The gateway to the Gallipoli Peninsula is a small, relaxed and peaceful town with ferries cruising, people fishing and cafes lining the waterfront. Welcome to Eceabat, a small town by Dardanelles. This is basically a main hub to explore Gallipoli Peninsula. So let's have lunch first and then explore the peninsula itself. Very nice mosque in the main street. Yeah, very lovely, small, cozy town of Eceabat. Population is around 5,500 people, and I wish to spend here at least 1 or 2 hours just strolling around and absorb its local life at Gallipoli Peninsula. But since we have very tight schedule today and we must back to Istanbul by tonight, let's have lunch first and then explore the peninsula itself. And lunch will be at this small Liman restaurant just by promenade by the water. All started over there, on the Greek island of Imbros, 20 kilometers off the shore, where the Allied headquarters were based directing the operation. The plan was to land right here at Kabatepe Cove. Flat terrain, easy access inland, the perfect spot. And on the 25th of April 1915, about 16,000 troops, mainly Australians and New Zealanders, set off in their boats. Imbros, former Greek island, is over there, where the British troops were based. And Kabatepe Cove is there, where they're supposed to land first initially. So this is the initial landing spot for ANZAC forces. But the Ottomans were already anticipating an attack here, heavily fortifying the beach and waiting to crush the landing. It's going to be a disaster for the invaders here. That's basically where Gallipoli battle was planned initially. But in complete darkness, strong currents and similar weather, the landing was mistakenly carried 2 kilometers north at what is now called the ANZAC Cove. And here you go, ANZAC Cove, April 25th at 4:30 AM. 1,500 troops landed over here and they within few hours built pontoon bridges, hospitals, everything, all infrastructure, and proceeded from right this cove. Perfect weather to experience this kind of history. It's like you fully immerse into the action. Against all odds, the ANZACs pushed a couple of kilometers inland that morning. The plan was ambitious, to link up with the British further south and capture the heights, controlling the Dardanelles. But by nightfall, the ANZACs had been pushed back to the same beach by Ottoman forces under Mustafa Kemal. The struggle was real. Around 2,000 men had fallen on each side that first day. The advance got stuck, and an 8-month trench battle with little progress began. Every April 25th there is ANZAC Day in Turkey, and right on this ground there is a ceremony celebrating and commemorating this sad day, and only up to 10,000 people are allowed to join the ceremony each year because of lack of infrastructure and lack of accommodation in the vicinity. And behind me this is a Sphinx mountain because it looks like a sphinx. So when ANZAC forces are landed at this particular beach, the same day, the same afternoon, they climbed all the way up this Sphinx mountain, Swiss hill, which is around 100 meters tall, with fully loaded with their bags, which were around 21 kilos. So imagine this, they've been stationed in Egypt previously, so they saw Sphinx, and this hill looks like Sphinx. So that's why it's called Sphinx. So it wasn't easy to climb, but they made it, and Turks were waiting for them right behind it. And the trench war has started, where the British trenches and Turkish trenches been just 10 meters apart, and they've been sitting in a trench just in front of each other. Insane. So imagine 108 years ago, there was no internet, there was no GPS, there's no Google Maps. How tough, how hard it was to find a proper beach to land to. And there's some historical plaques with some information right in front of ANZAC beach, so you can spend like 10 minutes reading them and understand better what happened at this beach 109 years ago. Actually, every single square inch here holds memorials with endless stories to tell. Nobody knows whether it's really happened or not, that Turkish soldier carrying wounded ANZAC soldier. It's kind of sign of respect. It was a ceasefire. The wounded soldier was right in the middle of trenches, and Turkish soldier took him and brought back to ANZAC. This is all about respect. And it's not only memorials. Gallipoli is, in many ways, one huge cemetery. Ariburno Cemetery. So there are more than 80 cemeteries in this area. But the most famous of them all, a name you've probably heard before, is a lone pine. This is actually not the original lone pine which was stood here on April 25, 1915. It was planted here in 1918 to commemorate that initial plant, which was probably destroyed by artillery or something. It was planted from a cone collected on this battlefield, one of the bloodiest of the campaign, where the Australians launched an attack against heavily fortified Ottoman trenches. In just 4 days, over 2,000 Australians and more than 6,000 Ottomans fell here. The Lone Pine Cemetery holds over 1,000 burials, most of them Australian. And some of them lost their lives on the very first day of the campaign, on April 25, 1915. So many young people. And there are also many people who died on another campaign in August 1915. Everyone very, very young. The youngest one was 14 years and 9 months from Australia. It was Private James Martin who lied about his age to enlist in Australian Army. He survived the landing and the fighting, but later succumbed to fever and passed away aboard a hospital ship just 2 months later. And can you imagine? On this side right here were Turkish trenches, and just literally 10 meters and meters apart there were ANZAC forces and their trenches. So they just fight very, very close to each other. That's insane. Wherever you stop, there are dead bodies under you. There's someone under you. For such extraordinary bravery, 7 Australians were awarded the highest honor here, the Victoria Cross. There's so many trenches dotted the place. So it's like Turkish trenches, then there is a main road, and across the road are ANZAC trenches. So literally 10 meters apart. You can see them while driving this main road on the second light from the beach, where the main events and fighting were happening. And there are many unique shops dedicated to this campaign with many Atatürk statues, because he played a very important role in this campaign. He basically changed the course and it led to the winning of Turkish forces because of him basically. There are of course not only ANZAC memorials here, but also Turkish ones, each with their own proud stories to tell. And this is Turkish memorial, and what's interesting, at the corner of this memorial is the oldest soldier of Gallipoli battle. He died in 96 at the age of 110 years old. After 4 months of bloody fighting with no progress, the Allies launched the second offense in the north, one that will turn the whole campaign into a disaster. And right here at northern part, events on August 7, 1915 happened, which were depicted in a Mel Gibson movie. So ANZAC forces, they were deployed at this beach to take down Turkish machine guns up on this hill, which completely doesn't make sense. So obviously they failed, and there are a lot of Turkish trenches up the hill, so this mission completely didn't make sense at all. It was mostly British, 20,000 fresh and experienced volunteer soldiers who landed at Suvla Bay and caught the Ottomans by surprise. They could have succeeded, but instead of pushing forward, they began digging trenches on the beach, struggling with heat, thirst and muddy terrain. By the time the British finally advanced, the Ottomans were dug in, and the chance was gone. The goal had been to capture the high ground, to control the entire peninsula and the Dardanelles. And finally, I've reached Chunuk Bair, the most important strategic height ANZAC forces used to fight with Turks, for elevation 270 meters. A lot of New Zealand troops died at these heights, and right here, the father of Atatürk got wounded at his chest, and his statue is right here. Only watches he used to carry in his pocket saved him, watches gave by his German officer, his friend. And it makes sense, you control this height, you control the entire peninsula. Look at this strategic position, you can see literally 360 degrees view of entire peninsula. New Zealand troops, in a rare moment of success, actually reached the summit at dawn on August 8 and held it for 2 days. But on August 10, the Ottomans, personally led by Mustafa Kemal, retook the peak. This victory paved his way to becoming Atatürk, the founder of modern Turkey. After 3 hours exploring Gallipoli, back to Eceabat and back to Istanbul. So basically this is the nearest point of Dardanelles, and all the campaign was for this choke point, to control this particular point. It's only 1200 meters wide. Brutal 11 months that cost thousands of lives and changed nothing on the map, but it shaped nations and created memories of courage, loss and humanity. Exploring this peaceful land today among quiet hills, it's hard to imagine the chaos that once filled it. I'm very impressed, it was amazing day trip, totally worth it. I highly recommend to explore this area, and probably by at least 2 days. It's like I've been in a National Geographic movie in like 5D, and I can't wait to get back home to learn more about World War I history, Gallipoli campaign, Turkish history and more. So thank you for watching and bye!